I built this desk to be the perfect workspace, but it's not quite there yet. There are some efficiency and organizational problems that I want to fix using 3D printing. I want to design custom drawer organizers to clean up some of this mess, and I want to build tool holders and components for my pegboard wall. And finally, I want to create a series of multifunctional articulating arms for my desk to essentially turn this into a giant Swiss Army knife to fit any need that I could have. Wait, we're jumping ahead there a little bit. Let's start with something easy like the drawers. For each of the drawers, I want to subdivide and organize them to be a lot better than where they're at right now. I did begin to sort these drawers when I originally put stuff in here. This top drawer is for all of my measuring tools. This one here is for general utility items. This one's where I keep my chocolate milk. This drawer is for any marking utensils. This one's for 3D printer and laser cut items. And the final one is for larger tools. The top two drawers will be the most involved because those are the items I use the most. I first began with the marking drawer. In here, I have pencils, pens, markers, Sharpies, really anything you could want. I began with the organization of the Prismacolor markers, and I modeled up a bin for them that could just be pulled out of the drawer before I realized that's not really any better than the rubber band I had before. Instead, moving to a single slot design allows them to all be easily identifiable and accessible. So after I went through a couple iterations for the storage, I finally got a design that I liked. To print out all of the components for this project, Bambu Lab sponsored this video and they sent me their X1 Carbon. Listen, if Bambu Lab didn't send me this machine, I was gonna buy one anyway. Don't tell them that, but my Ender 3 has been, well, nothing quite compares to needing to do a quick 30-minute print, only to see that my Ender 3 is now speaking to me in runes all of a sudden, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not 3D printing today. So having a more reliable machine that I can just press print on and I don't need to tinker with has already saved me so many headaches. The angle design works out pretty well for fitting all these in here and ease of access to all of them. But for the rest of the components in the drawer, I'm taking a slightly different approach. For stuff like the pens, Sharpies, and pencils in here, I designed a couple of modular narrow bins for them with the remaining space that I had to keep all of these separated. The sides on them are partially removed in the center to be able to get your fingers in alongside to easily grab whatever's inside each one. I did look at using a Gridfinity setup here, but I didn't really like how the 42mm cells meshed with my drawer size, so that's why I'm designing everything to be custom specific to fit my space. We will call the first drawer done, and it has already made a huge improvement from where it was yesterday. Moving across to the measuring drawer, it will be the same to start out. I got all of the components measured and then modeled and put in the computer and added some trays and different holders to keep everything organized for what I want to put in this drawer, except for this back corner here. I was going to put my combination square back there, but I have just lost it, I guess. I have absolutely no idea what I did with it. It just completely vanished, which is also part of the reason that I like these custom tool holders for everything. If a bin is just empty or something's missing from it, it's clear to see and it will help me put it back in its place. Without that final piece, I just did everything I could to get all of the components for the drawer printed out and ready. Using these to fill out the drawers has been so satisfying when it all comes together. The last thing to do on this drawer is going to be the angles, but these are big and they don't really fit well in here. Thankfully, I thought ahead for once in my life. The construction of each of these drawers has a lip on either side here to act as a built-in rail. So I designed and laser cut out a shelf profile to match the angle size, and at the same time I 3D printed some corner components so all of these can just snap together, and this can all slide freely then on the lip above everything else, giving me easy access to anything below. This is pretty much the same design process for all of the drawers. The only ones that are slightly different are the ones on the very bottom, since those already have larger items in them that already have containers. But to get them to sit nicely in here, I made a very quick divider system. I used laser cut wood as my actual divider wall, and then I 3D printed some clips to hold those walls so that all of the drawers can get rearranged and subdivided to keep everything organized. So with the drawers done, we can move on to the pegboard wall. The pegboard that I originally modeled this off of is the Scottish board from IKEA, and I had a couple of things that I wanted to make for it here. The tools that I want to put on here are the wrenches, vice grips, screwdrivers, maybe a tape holder, the pliers. I really just kind of need to see how much I can fit on here. I began with modeling just a simple hook that can adapt to hold different items on this wall. It's really just taking the idea of a French cleat wall and then scaling that down so that it can slot into the back of any of the miscellaneous forms to hold it on here. Out of everything here, I think that the pliers are probably going to be the easiest one to make something for, so I'm going to start there. I took a photo of them to bring into the computer to get a measurement off of, and then modeled up just an X form so that both sets can slide in and sit firmly. After getting it printed out, I see that my first iteration was a pretty good fit. The only problem is how they sit on the bottom here, with the plier springs making them not always sit flush. So in my second iteration, I just modeled out a cylindrical void to be able to press fit in a small magnet, which is just enough to keep them in place. For the vise, it was a little odd because of its shape. So I took another photo to trace that as well into the digital model. And then I added some finger slots on the side, like I've done with some other models, to be able to pull it out and extruded all of that up. Just as I was about to press print on the 3D printer, I realized this is a bad idea. This tool changes its geometry depending on the length of the set pin. So if it's not set back to the exact same position every time, it might have a hard time fitting back in place. So I instead just modeled up a smaller hook to actually hold it off of that set pin, which is much simpler and overall just a better solution really. With the success of the hanging model, I carried that over into the design for the wrenches and added in an extension to fit the hole of the tool so that this is all just one piece and then it slots in nicely to the back wall for both of these to hang off of. Part of the reason that I'm modeling everything off of this Scottish layout is because there are already so many different models for the system. So if you don't really like the digital modeling side of 3D printing, then with Bambu's Maker World, you can just load any model you want straight into the Studio app to print. All of the 3D print files that I'm making for this project are uploaded there. It's all free, so if you see something you like that you want to make, that's where you can find them. I'll put a link to it down below. The screwdrivers can get done next, and they just get something simple like a slotted shelf using the same clip mechanism on the back as before. I'm just so happy with how this clip design worked out. It feels so good to get all these slotted in here. And then for the tape, I modeled up a larger clip that should let it freely rotate on the board if you just want to pull off a small piece, or it can easily slide off if you want to use it elsewhere. Now there is still more room on the board that can get filled up, but I just want to use it for a little bit to see what actually works best for me, since I still have a lot more components that can be added in, rearranged, or swapped out, because I did a lot of modeling. Some other things that I made was a ring for other pliers to sit on, a more usable display for the mini screwdriver set, a clip for scissors, a pole for wire strippers, a tray in the same clip system, safety glasses hook. I could go on, but I did get a little carried away with making stuff because honestly, upgrading my 3D printer has actually made me want to 3D print stuff again. It has reduced so many different frustrations for me. This thing just spits out parts and they're fast and accurate, and it has first layer failure detection. It stops some user error when I do something stupid, which it has never happened, obviously. I'm talking hypothetically, of course, okay? It has auto level, oh my gosh, the auto leveling. Let me show you something. On my now dust-covered Ender 3, this is what I had to do before. Over time, the bottom adjustments on the plate were not enough, and I needed to shim part of the bed with thicker paper to try and get this all perfectly level. Now, it does it all automatically, which is helpful to get clean and accurate models, like these that I'm using for cable management because it can be a lot better than what it is now. These parts can just snap directly into the aluminum track to keep all of the cords and cables together and organized. I did have to punch an ugly hole in the back panel to feed all of these cords through, but a 3D printed grommet helps me cover my quick work. That routing in the end will be a lot better than having everything just spill out of the side. And this is great and all for the top of the desk, but what about the underside? For that, I made a variation for the bottom of the desk to hold those cables. My work down here is not as pretty, but my feet will be the only ones that ever actually see this, and they said that it looks good enough. The power strip is the only thing that I don't really have a good solution for yet. I maybe want to mount it to the underside of the desk somehow so its connection to the outlet is the only thing that actually moves when the desk height adjusts, but that will be pretty annoying to access, so I'm going to leave it for now and then continue to look into other solutions to finalize the cable management. Now I can focus on the last part of the project, the articulating arms. This might seem a little odd, so let me explain what the purpose is here. This thing is called a helping hand set. It's a set of different tools and utensils that hold items for you or adjust what you're working on. It has a magnetic base so you can move around and configure everything for what you need. How you use it is all customizable, and it's quickly become one of my favorite tools. Now I essentially want to take that idea and do a big version. So the plan is that each of these arms can attach and slide along the aluminum wireframe of the desk. From there, the linkages will make up the articulating arm, and they can combine to be longer and can adjust around to any position on the desk as needed. And then the top component will be a modular joint, so you can swap out and choose what tool is on the end. It could turn into a lamp, magnifying glass, microphone arm, phone holder, third hand, iPad mount, pretty much anything you want, with the top being swappable. I began first by designing the connection joints between each of the linkages. I thought that a ball and joint connection would give it a lot of flexibility in where you could actually adjust the arm to. So my first iteration of this had a ring clip on either side with a bolt that could be threaded through the middle to be the adjustment of the tightness of the system. After I got this printed out, I noticed a few problems. First up, even with a clamp as a substitution, I can't tighten it down enough to actually have these lock in place. The clip starts to deflect from the pressure, and I just don't think that there's even enough surface area for the friction to make a difference here. So for the second iteration, there was a lot more connecting surface area, and it definitely helped enclosing the ball joint more. But this also comes with a drawback. I accidentally eliminated any range of motion here. This thing can hardly adjust, so I saw that again in the third iteration by removing a little bit more material to hit that Goldilocks zone of strength and flexibility, and now this works great, except it's ugly and I hate it. This just looks so goofy at this point, and after working on this a while, I'm realizing that this level of complexity isn't really even needed. Having the aluminum track solves one degree of motion, so I really only need to build something that has the other two. So I'm going to scrap this connection idea and move to a much simpler joint. Having a simple fingerlap joint to interlock the pieces seems like a much better plan. And from my exploration, I realized a couple of things with a design like this. The elbows need to have 2 points to tighten to have it collapse back over itself like this to give a good range of motion. I don't really like that, since my design from the ball joint just had one. So I'm literally doubling the work that it would take to tighten down each of the connections to all of the arms. I could not get a design that I liked that had 2 connection points, so I moved down to 1. But like everything, I solved one problem and made 2 more. Again, it turned into a problem of mobility, but I finally had a breakthrough and redesigned this arm and joint to be one item that can be interlocked through itself. Now this thing is awesome. This took about 12 iterations to get to a good point, each one slightly refining elements of itself to become better in the next. The hardest part about this was that it's all one printed part, and it's all the exact same piece that's linked together, so it needs to be able to mesh into itself on the other end, but it also needs to be nicely printable to have one flat side to it, and it needs to be able to collapse into itself to have a full range of motion. What's fun about this is you can just keep adding segments. Now this is only 3 of them put together. You could, I don't know, link like 15 of them together to create a really goofy camera mount to record yourself. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do that, because that would be a huge waste of time and money to do all of that for a 2-second bit. But you could if you wanted to, because the customization is there. Having the arm and joint design figured out made everything else so much easier. To make the tightening knob design for the elbows, I pulled elements from the arm to make them all match. Its height mimics the proportions of the finger joints, and the radius at the end is the exact same. It also has some material that is removed with sweeping curves like the arms have, and this gives a natural place for your fingers to go. I took this into the slicer to make the final changes before I printed it. I added fuzzy skin and a modifier so that it only happens within these 3 voids. So that will give each of these locations a little bit more texture and grip so that you can easily tighten and loosen the knob. I also created an automatic pause halfway through so that I could embed hardware into the print and have it fully sealed in there without any need for post-processing. Now that the arm is mostly built, I can work on connecting it to the aluminum track. I had a couple of leftover bolts from actually building this desk, so I'm going to use that as my connection points. I took the model of one of the arms and then spliced it off to make a shortened joint to connect back to. And then I added a plate face that wraps around and into the bottom of the track to join all of these sections together. This can also get 2 more knobs on either side of this component, but they need to be slightly smaller than the other ones were to have this whole profile remain tiny. I got all of that printed out, and after putting it on the track, I immediately broke it. I think this might be a new record for me breaking something. I think this lasted like 30 seconds off of the build plate before I ruined it. Realistically, I don't think that this bottom J-hook was really even doing that much, since the bolts on the front are the main connection. So when I reprint this part, I'm going to beef up some of these center connections a little bit and also increase the infill percentage to reduce some of the flexing on this connection. Now, all you have to do is loosen. Now, with all of the other components figured out and done, we can work on the head component. Or is it the hands? If it's the arm? I guess, the hands? The top part. No, the end. Whatever, you know what I mean. Out of all of the tool components for the arms, the two things that I need the most right now are a lamp and a phone holder, so that's what I want to focus on right now. The phone holder design is pretty incredible, so let me explain it a little bit. The top is a plate with a bolt in the middle of it. Yeah, that's kind of it. I am cheating a little bit because this is actually just the bracket mount for the actual phone holder. I have like 6 of these lying around for some reason, so I figured I should use one for this project. But the purpose of a more simplistic base is that it becomes more universal, because a lot of camera equipment uses a 1/4-20 bolt. So instead of making it specific for one item, it becomes a more generic mounting plate to fit a bunch of different equipment. Now the camera side is pretty easy, but the lamp is going to be a lot more complicated. These are a couple rechargeable puck lights that I have, and I thought that they would make a nice little desk lamp. The idea is to make an enclosure for it to mount it to the arm, and the front will have a mechanical iris. This only has an on-off switch. There's no way to actually control the amount of light that it puts off. So the iris works like an aperture, depending on its position and how open it is. It becomes a physical dimmer switch for the lamp. Making a mechanical iris is very confusing when you're starting from scratch. It also doesn't help that I'm designing it in SketchUp. But after messing around with it for a bit, it finally all clicked for me. It took me like half a day, but I finally have a working prototype. Not to mention, this thing is also just super fun to play with. It's been really annoying having it at my desk because I've just been fidgeting with it all day. The part that I kept getting stuck on designing was how these pins actually move in the channel here. I thought that they moved linear through here, that as you close the iris, they just move from point A to B. But actually it's parabolic, which is obvious now, but we still need to make this into a lamp. For the rest of the housing that contains the light and connects back to the arm, I tried to split it into separate parts so that they can print nicely and it can be quickly put together or taken apart. So it is time for the final print. This is one of those few times that everything just went perfectly. The tolerances were perfect. The pieces meshed into each other flawlessly. The mechanical iris just works. It's beautiful. But this does not happen often. And out of everything that I printed and built to improve my space during this project, ending on such a high note feels amazing. My workspace will always be evolving, and I may never truly perfect it. But I know one thing for sure, and that is that everything is so much better than when I first started, and I'm just sad I didn't do it sooner. This worked a lot better in my head.